That's right. You have to remain focused here for game number 11. Autopilot is not going to be enough here, not against the sharpest minds Fortnite has to offer here. And I made this analysis before, but I'm going to say it again. This is a favorable bust likely for Baka and Pars, who have really cemented themselves a solid top 10 footing, even after yesterday's performance where they gave up a couple rounds. But get to watch it here. They go for something slightly different, and it's going to be get a weapon, take the launch pad, and then get a more favorable angle here to touch down before Chance and Aaron. I wouldn't be surprised if Baka touches down right on top of this player again here. And of course he does, but he misses the shot he was looking for, and Pars gets melted out the sky from the duo. I believe that was looking inwards. Oh, this is a huge ask right now of Baka, and no, he couldn't get the heals off in time. And Baka and Pars they really did have the strategy, but the unforeseen additional duos ruined it all.
And that's the problem with their current drop. Even if they make it out against Chance and Aaron, they still have to worry about Xavi and Neko taking advantage of shooting them from across the way. So definitely a very unfortunate demise there, though, for Baka and Pars. Keep in mind, in fact, how that last lobby went. Chance and Aaron, again, seeming to be the common denominator here, because Baka and Pars, they wanted those eliminations so badly to start things off, but just find themselves being eliminated instead by a completely separate team, just about giving that third-party assistance there for Chance and Aaron. And something else kind of wanted to point out here in terms of Acorn and Cold, it's that notice they've been much less aggressive with going for that vault and taking out Nisha right away.
Yeah, definitely. We're seeing some adjustment come into place, but you know, sometimes that lack of, or not lack of confidence, but instead the hesitancy can work against you when you start doing something a little too different, too passive. But first, let's wrap this fight up here with Dash and Seek, who are getting a bit active right now. We have, of course, J2, Prodigy, and Bryce right now. And pretty solid swinging around here. We already know Chubbs here picked up that victory out alongside Bryce. Like we mentioned, this is for sure the team to look out for as far as big up-and-comers for this year leading up to the Global Championships. But right now, Shieldbreaker has to come out in desperation there. It does end up connecting, but it's not looking too good here. See, what we saw Cold do in this situation, right, when his teammate was down, he just gave it up all the way, came back later. But then you have, like, newer teams like Bryce and Chubbs maybe not exactly having that type of discipline in their playbook just yet. And we'll see as they continue to develop throughout the years. Congrats to Dash and Seek on winning the drop. Back on over to Eomzo and Rise, who are in and likely hungry to earn some points right now.
Got a lot of ground to make up for, fighting a battle very unique to just them in comparison to everyone else in this lobby. But Eomzo and Rise, we know that they are capable of that level of greatness. They already got a taste from yesterday, having been in that first place position to start the day off, and you know that they're going to want to reclaim that spot, and especially the title of being Acts of Champions, both seeking out their first one. But yeah, with the amount of points that Acorn and Cold have been able to build up in the meantime, it's certainly going to be a very difficult ask, but it's a journey that Eomzo and Rise are already committed to embarking upon. And now it's just the hopes of them being able to play it out, see what they can make happen from their current situation.
Yeah, the real anomaly for top 5 is the fact that Acorn and Cold have 200 or 100 points ahead of second and almost 200 across from everyone else. So unless something goes terribly wrong in one of these two games, then there's just not going to be an opportunity to close the distance there. But they are triple contested. So like we said, you literally cannot count them in as a winner just yet. This game, next game, still triple contested.
The real difference maker for Acorn and Cold has honestly just been the fact that they've been in positions, both in games 10 and 9, where realistically they should not have been able to make it as far into an endgame as they did. But they just took full advantage of every opportunity and have found a way to minimize mistakes as much as possible here in day number 2. Aside from the fact that they found themselves in a solo occasion, the successful reboots into recovering enough to then find ideal positioning in later games, that alone is definitely a testament to just how strong of a duo Acorn and Cold are.
One thing I really like about Cold, I feel like he, for me personally, right, from like what I've gathered from his playstyle, he is exceptional with the shotgun. It reminds me of TSM's Commandment. Commandment used to go by the moniker, you know, the nickname, essentially 200, just like Saf, 200 Punk, right? Like they were always putting that in their name because they were just that dangerous with it. And Cold, man, I know he doesn't flex how good he is because he's very humble, but he is good.
Actions speak louder than words most of the time, and Cold's performance 99.9% of the time. It definitely and more than enough to back up that kind of statement. A little bit of trouble here though, more towards the north side of the map, far northeast even. Noxy, Krisp, up against Asian Jeff, Oliver OG. No other teams in sight though, so third party probably least of their concerns, but both of these teams expending a good amount of materials. Seems as though Noxy and Krisp, they really want to commit towards this engagement, given how much they've already opted to use up here. They're gonna need that siphon materials out of Oliver OG or Asian Jeff, and vice versa, Oliver OG, Asian Jeff. They probably want to force this engagement. Noxy already kind of hovering near that launch pad because, as you can see, Asian Jeff eating a good amount of damage. Shield's not fully intact. Noxy now trying to see if he can creep around, find a nice angle into the box of Oliver OG, Asian Jeff. Gonna get the markers from where the pickaxe is coming through. Oliver OG, Asian Jeff just trying to reclaim some of the space inside of this box fight. But again, if Noxy and Krisp, if they don't act soon and close this engagement off, it's gonna make things incredibly tough for them to try and challenge for a forecast tower or even a combat cache.
Yeah, I like the discipline here, though, from Noxy and Krisp to play the distance with all this extra AR ammunition that they have to use. But they're going to disengage, get a couple tags, and they committed a lot of brick and wood there. Once they start digging into the metal, you can see things start to change. Jump over to Death and Polarize, though, who jump in on Snacky and Possess, but a monstrous shot comes in return, and Death now has to play for the zone save here to bring Polarize back into this game. That did not go the way they wanted it to. Surely is going to be a setback here. And unlike Cold and Acorn's save, they have to go to the nearest reboot, right? So very likely that other players are going to see what's happening here. There's just no time to waste.
Kind of bold, though, by Polarize to just be fully exposed and just so convinced, yeah, there's nobody looking in my direction with a sniper. I can definitely just look for my own search tags. So maybe a little bit more necessity towards proceeding with caution. Go a long way there for Polarize, but good looks by Death. At least he's able to confirm the reboot. Now it's just about covering the ground to get towards that next zone. Have to expect that Death and Polarize are also going to have to be fighting the battle of getting their surge up, given that they don't have anybody nearby. So pretty good chance that they're going to be slightly below that surge damage threshold. if they're not able to pick something up quick. And that's the mentality here now from Aviv and Bugha. We've seen this team have more than one elimination even through the mid-game into the late, but still a little bit of struggles, just barely managing to maintain over on that Surge damage threshold. Surge just being the #1 opponent currently for a lot of these teams in the mid-game.
Yeah, definitely. But Bugha Bro is onto something. Those double ramps, he just keeps pulling them out. But hold up, we jump in here. Sphinx grapple hooking right into a bush that is housing 2 opponents lurking nearby. They couldn't get the finish or the box appears. Jagvir, TBC, LeBron. So a little reset's gonna happen here. Interested to see why they didn't commit to pushing into the box, but now it's just too late. They've given them way too much time here for Sphinx and Pump to go ahead and heal up. Everyone else is going to be on the move.
Looked like Vanillas and Convic were also local to that exchange. Could be part of the reason why LeBron and Jagvir opted to just pause for a second there instead of rushing right in. But still probably an engagement that a more experienced duo would have 100% opted to take. I mean, you get a shield break like that. It's a massive tag for Sphinx and Pump to have to worry about.
Think about looking for another snipe shot. We've seen this happen time and time again, and he actually misses for once. You see him line it up, though, you know? You know something bad's coming to whoever's on the other side of the bullet.
It makes you think.
Definitely does. Here's Acorn and Cold back on the move right now. And, of course, we're going to be continuously following these top teams right now as we're starting to situate ourselves up for what will be the finale here of the FNCS Grand Finals for NA. This is Game 11. This is the day where points are worth 1.5x, placement even more, eliminations matter even more. Your performance today is much more important. Take a look at the big rotate here from Rhea Rich, where they take the crash pad right through the middle of the map there. Don't get caught out for it. Even now, they're exposing themselves to Acorn and Cold, so they do have to be careful here. Yeah, Rich, we're not taking any chances, pre-dropping some walls. It's definitely the right play to make.
Given that Reckless Railways is Ritual and Reed's backyard, since this is their initial starting point off drop, they're likely gonna have a pretty good idea of what boxes were or weren't already existing on this side of the map. So yeah, definitely some strong awareness coming out of Ritual. Spots out the little boxes that Acorn and Cold had set up based not too long ago. And we saw Acorn and Cold getting a little bit of pressure from behind, but it's actually just going to be Chance and Aaron on the receiving end. Easy elimination there for Cold to get onto Aaron. A little bit of material pickup as well. Shield potion. Gonna get Cold back to practically full shield. Only gonna be too short. That's not too bad though.
Rise and Yamza get caught out. Unfortunately, they're trying to grapple hook away from a duo. They don't earn any points this game. It's Trashy and Threats who catch them on the rotate there. That's an unfortunate game number 11 for them. But now we jump in to Acorn and Code, who are on the hunt right here. Willing to jump into enemy box, potentially. There was no one here, but talk about bold, right? In order to fight, like looking for a battle when they have, you know, top 25 right around the corner, placement points, end game. Probably not content with the fact that they picked up an easy, quick elimination. They probably are feeling like they need a lot more damage.
Clicks and Epic. Definitely finding a little bit of damage here. It's going to be Yamza's box that clicks. Forces his way into Yamza, a little bit more preoccupied, looking towards Epic Whale. And as a solo in that position, won't have a chance. Can't shoot 2 different directions at once, unfortunately there. So Yamzo and Rise have been elimed here in match number 11. Still try and battle it out, though, for maintaining inside of that top 5. We'll have to see how game 12 goes for them. But as for Ritual and Reet, another team that has seemingly come up short here on day number 2. They have a lot of ground to make up for. And this is a duo that, despite having relatively open access for the forecast tower at Dumpenhausen, they have struggled with maintaining ideal positioning because they keep coming up short on their surge. Being uncontested, yes, sure, technically Sphinx and Pump land on the opposite end, not northern side of Reckless Railways, but that doesn't mean they're actually going to engage with Ritual or Reet. That's part of the reason why we see Ritual and Reet continuously trying to force these late game fights. And sometimes when you're that desperate for surge, you're making a lot of noise, other teams bound to take notice. And Ritual and Reet have really just been getting picked off more often than not by third-party situations.
Yeah, that rotate right there is very interesting to watch play out because they know, you know, pretty much where the next zone's going. You can see they're like, dude, we got to get a mountain quick. One of these two up on this side. So that's already telling us a lot here. Back on over to Peter Boy, who have 0 eliminations, but they are above the threshold. So they've managed to at least stay active for the time being of this game. A lot of players rotating with the grapple hook right behind them as well. Not to mention teams that are situated here in front of them. So this is not going to be simple by any means. And if you're Peter Boy and you fall now, I mean, you might as well kiss the FNCS Grand Finals opportunity goodbye at this rate because their competition is at 100 points ahead. Of course, with Acorn and Cold up there. No room for mistakes here at all.
Clicks and Epic just barely managing to hang above that damage threshold. They're coming in with a bit of a late rotation, taking a good amount of damage as well from this 2-tick storm. Polarized Death also finding themselves in a bit of a predicament here. Is Polarized looking for a chance to get some of this Flowberry Fizz off. Only 2 ticks left. Big shot though out of Polarized, but it's not gonna be enough. Instead, that's gonna be Tahi and Scented. Tragic stuff there for Death and Polarized. Keep in mind, Death, Tahi, last time we saw those two, they were competing together at the Global Championship. Now, enemies here for Major 1 of the Grand Finals.
That's right. That is a very history duo. But those kind of things are going to happen, you know, like even if you're Death and Polarized, you know, you're playing so well, you're up at the top. I mean, this is Death's first time, I think, in a grand final setting where he's been able to honestly have a chance at like even top 3, right? With a pacing like this. So, you know, with time comes experience, but look at this, 6 through 10 are eliminated in this game already. Meaning that this runway is wide open right now for players like Clicks and Epic Will here. Going to catch up with even Booga continue to get active. This is a team that we haven't talked about that could also be primed for a grand finals. And that'd be incredible for someone like Aviv to achieve under his belt. Booga already, of course, decorated all the way through and through. But Aviv starting to close in, and he's been playing so well. They just seem to complement each other's play style very, very well.
As far as the top 3 is concerned, Aviv and Booga likely one of the only teams that are even in a position to try and challenge Acorn and Cold for that first place spot in the leaderboard. But it's all going to hinge upon whether or not Acorn and Cold even get taken out. Only one more duo needs to be eliminated before placement points become active, just about. At the same time though, Cold having at least 6 points from that elimination he acquired earlier on. Paper Muzz though, from fencing fields all the way over to Classy Courts. It's probably the last thing that Cold and Acorn expected to see. But Paper Muzz having already found a slightly better spot. Cold, Acorn still trying to make their way across this body of water here. Couple of tags being ate up, but now it's the immediate pressure from Golden and Ozone that could pose more of a problem here. Cold and Acorn aren't careful.
I'm not worried. They're in first place. I'm not worried. They got this. All right, everyone around them, they got this. Unless it's Ritual. We're getting really close now. It's gonna get a little dangerous here. As the water starts to heat up. Can they handle the pressure? But no. It's a little too much for Reed, who gets taken down into a box, and the edit comes in, and now Ritual has to play this one out by himself. This is their chance to do something big. Ritual jumps in and gets melted by threats. Clicks gets knocked in the feet as well. Are all of the competition falling here? And now is the question. But Epic Whale fends off a monster shot there. Gives them time to save Clicks. And they gotta at least rake into like 520, 530, 540 if they want a chance in the last game to potentially be the grand finals winners here. Aviv and Booger are doing just that. Pushing everyone back now.
Look, 25th placement, that's 3 points. Every placement above that only continues to build up. Epic was asking him to step it up earlier on the day. It seems he's done just that. Definitely a clutch moment for him to bring Clicks back into the lobby, finds that revive after getting a successful elimination, putting more pressure onto the rest of the lobby to also stay upright here. Peterbot, Boyo, they recognize the fact, first place, pulling ever so much further away from us. They know they need a big match here if they want to keep in contention with Acorn and Cold. Same story though for Aviv and Booga as they continue to build. One more elimination upon the next.
It's Clicks and Epic Whale versus Peterbot and Boyo here. But Duke comes in from the flank and just deletes Peterbot while his guard was let down. And now Boyo has to play this out by himself, but then it comes through. And it is Dukes who gets finished off there. So close. He almost 2v1'd him, but Clicks and Epic Whale time it perfectly. And just like that, down goes Peterbot in the 600 point threshold range. So it's still a good game for them, but it's not going to be enough as Acorn and Cold start marching their way to 700. Clicks and Epic now have a chance to jump up into second. This is crazy to think that Cold and Acorn are just looking like a completely different duo, separate from what and the type of performance they put in during the semifinals. Like, their finals performance so far has been very, very solid, rock solid.
And the news just keeps getting better still because Booga being knocked, now fully limbed. You can imagine that the feed probably retailing that information towards Acorn and Cold. Aviv doing everything he can, grapple blading, trying to stay moving along
Acorn's
with this
knocked.
zone.
I think Acorn just got knocked. Yup, Cold is by himself now. This is huge. He's only at 702 points. If Cold falls now, I mean, that's going to be the lead given away. But no, he's still fighting for it. And this is what we've seen Cold do a lot this weekend. Cold has literally backpacked Acorn a couple of times this weekend already. But most importantly, when it mattered on Sunday, right here, right now, he continues to do it. And look at this, a little bit of Fortnite favor. The zone bounces back towards Cold, so he has a little bit more time here to rotate now with the lead, but there's a team on his tail.
Keep in mind, Aviv, he's got the exact same intentions as Cold. He knows that he can't afford to go down just yet. Doesn't want to let first place slip that much further away from where Aviv and Booga currently sit in the standings. Aviv doing everything in his power, going to opt to drop towards that low ground, even though it's going to be a more congested side of the zone.
15.
Doesn't have any mats, doesn't have any builds. Forced to take this box fight instead, but 2 versus 1, and 2 is better than 1. Aviv has fallen now. Muzz and Paper on the rise.
That's it. Cold's immediate competition is down and out. Epic Whale gets knocked there. Like, this is looking better and better right now for Cold and Acorn's last game. Clicks gets taken out as well now. And he is just leading here. And look who's alive. Kanata and Agers. Had they just had a better day one, they would surely be top 3 right now. Just incredible to see Kanata and Agers also having a little bit of a moment for themselves. I've seen them continuously jumping to the feet, but look at Code's goal continuing the onslaught here. He falls inside the top 8. Another top 10 performance for them. Seek and Dash turning online as well. Very consistent here today.
And Seek and Dash, they have the chance to completely bamboozle the entirety of the lobby, given how many points they'd already jumped up from that last match. But Krisp, Noxy, they also want to find a victory royale on the day if possible, to seriously put them into contention for threatening that top 5 of the leaderboard. They could start here. One more pickup onto Zooks. Dasharuni fully exposed. Noxy gonna light him up as a punishment for it. Krisp has both of the med kits though. Between himself and Noxy, chop really quick. Dasharuni not gonna be able to close it out. Krisp and Noxy, they hold on to, I think we could still call that somewhat of a high ground, but more importantly of all, the fact that they managed to maintain their position over the rest of the lobby is ultimately what led to them finding that final elimination onto Dasharuni. But still a really deep run out of Seek and Dasharuni. Bound to have built up a good amount of points there.
They were positioned best by far. I mean, they had the high ground. They didn't overcommit too much, and they had just enough material to make it through the end game there, and even farming any opportunity that they had right there. And look at this, it comes back towards the Rift Island, so this could have gotten real spooky, real different, real quick. But for Noxy and Krisp, congratulations to them. They take a grand finals victory royale here in game number 11. And you really, really like to see that, because that's going to put them up in the 500 point threshold, closer to top 5, right? There's a lot of prizing that we're seeing become available right now as you continue to work your way up through this top 10.
Yeah, there is definitely some pretty drastic jumps amongst even the placements within the top 10. But you know who else found themselves inside of that top 10? Acorn, we saw, excuse me, Cold. We saw him make his placement run all that much further extended for Acorn and Cold. So their spot up on the leaderboard, it's got to be feeling awfully comfortable right now. But with one match left to go, I want to get it back over to Zeke, Vivid, and Kelly to let us know everything that actually took place in game number 11.